How do we ease into that?
No, I didn't say that. That's something we've been doing in the last several years because there were always very strict rules with replay. We always wanted to be avoiding subjective calls. It had to be an objective call. We've now moved a little bit further with that. But it was really more, they wanted the call to be made by the referee on the field. And it still is, but we're giving the referee more input.
Assistance. Yeah, a little bit more help.
Whether it's the replay official or whether it's somebody in New York that's looking down and says, I saw that, his foot's out of bounds to 3.
Got
and
it.
you missed it. The idea is here to be consistent in officiating and not avoid those errors that are game-changing, right?
Yeah.
Officiating is part of the game.
Well, the issue is, like, I see it in 8K at my house. I'm seeing it in an 8K in super slow motion, and the ref wasn't even allowed to look up at the Jumbotron for certain times. Like,
that's correct.
Yeah, they weren't even allowed to see it. So the entire stadium of 70,000 people is watching a zoomed-in mistake that is in there. So I'm happy that you guys are embracing technology because I think, if you use it as a tag team partner as opposed to it's trying to correct you, the game's going to get better and better. I do appreciate you saying.
But you also point out one other thing, which technology. We see more today than we could see. I mean, you go back and look at a film 20 years ago.
AJ's film?
Snow, right?
Yeah, 10 years ago. It looks like you're playing the 50s.
It's a much different.
Yeah, it's classic. How much louder has it gotten, I guess, the gripes with the refs or lack of full-time refs with the growth of sports betting? Because obviously sports betting, people talking about the script, Taylor Swift showing up the games, things happen. How much louder has it gotten in your office with the growth of that?
I haven't felt that at all. I think for us, it's always just constantly what it is we need to do to make the game better. Obviously, when you have sports betting that's legalized, it was illegal at the time, so we still protected its integrity. We didn't support making it legal. The Supreme Court made the decision. We've got to adjust to that. And when we did, you do have to be partnering with some of these partners because they actually give us access to the information that can detect something before it really becomes a problem. And so we get a lot of information by being involved there. People think that's, conflicting with our previous position, but we just have to adjust to whatever the law is. That's the way it works.
Yeah, anytime, though, like the NBA has had to deal with it with one of their refs, Tim Donaghy, I think, like 10 years ago, and then Jonte Porter just happened just a couple weeks ago. That ruins it for all of us. I think, like us as former players, the same thing. Whenever you gave a season-long ban to Calvin Ridley, I think, and there's a lot of people comparing that to, like, other punishments that have taken place. It's like that one, everybody that's involved with football understands, if we mess this up, it messes the integrity of the game cannot ever be questioned, even though it always will be because of the outcomes of sport and why sport is so awesome is because anything can happen. But, like, if there's any proven shit like that, it can ruin everything. And obviously we all understand that.
Without question. If people think there's an influence on the game other than the players on that field, we're in trouble.
Well, Taylor Swift, we know.
Yeah, of course.
Well, that's a different kind of influence.
How about, hey, listen, a lot of jokes are made on
booing Taylor Swift.
Yeah, you can't boo.
There it is.
Yeah, you're going to be a part of an album.
Wow.
Do it. Get a little louder. She is going to cook you. I'll let it be known. You had to be, and obviously the internet talked about your reaction to Taylor Swift all of a sudden becoming a part of the NFL family. Oh, yeah. Also on the reigning Super Bowl champions, one of the most famous players we have, and somehow in a suite that has 4 cameras on it every single primetime game. And now a demographic got exposed to football. I saw a lot of tweets from, like, dads saying, my daughter watched more NFL football with me this weekend than she ever had because Taylor Swift. A lot of the internet was saying Roger Goodell is sitting at home through the moon about this.
Well, they thought it was part of the script.
Yes.
Too, right?
Well, then you went and talked to her. Then you went and talked to her. There it is. But as that's happening, you think to yourself, like, obviously, as the commissioner of the league, this is good for the league that the biggest superstar on earth right now is interested. But when it starts happening and you start hearing the noise, what is the reaction from you guys at the office? And is it like we're trying not to mess this up? We don't want to be too much. We don't want to be, like, what is the NFL stance on it? Because she's selling out every stadium.
Mm-hmm. No, and listen, there's some things you can control and not control. But listen, anybody who's interested in the NFL, that's good for me and good for everybody involved with the NFL. You get somebody with the kind of exposure and the following like Taylor Swift, who does love football. I've known her for 15 years. I first met her in New Orleans. She loves the game. And so that's great for us, right? Take the relationship out of it, which if they're happy,
hey, we're
I'm
pulling
happy.
for him.
Right?
Yeah. Hey,
so
way to go, Trav. I don't know if you heard the
So,
songs. She sang a couple songs about him. She feels so high school about Trav. It's great. It's great album. It's a great song. Connor's got a question for you, Commish.
Yeah, Commissioner, obviously right now there's kind of this transition period with college football and NIL and how much that is changing kind of the landscape of everything when it comes to college athletics. Have you seen any sort of change, at least in the players that have come through in recent years in comparison to previous ones, just because of the fact that they are coming to the NFL with money? You know, yesterday Pat mentioned, you know, these college guys for the first time are getting time and money once they get to the NFL, and now it's kind of like, well, they already have the money now they're just getting a lot of more free time. Have you seen anything like that? Is that something that you
know, the
monitor?
one thing that was really interesting to me is because we've always held very strongly to our eligibility rule. So you have to be at least 3 years out of high school. And in the last 3 years, we've seen that go from about 110 back down to about 78, 80, somewhere in that area. And the reality is guys are staying in college football because they're getting paid.
Sure.
And so I don't think that's a bad thing because they're still in the college program. I'm a big believer in college football. I love it. I watch it all day. But I also think they make stars for our players. They give them that platform. They get them ready to play the professional game, both physically, mentally, and otherwise. And so I think it works. On the other hand, we always look at what does this mean to us? What ultimately is this going to mean to the game of professional football? We work really closely with college football. I'm meeting with them in the next week. We want to try to help. We want to try to do.
Well, are you going to take them in? Are you going to bundle them?
No, I don't see that.
Yeah.
I don't see that. I really don't see that. At least today, but not. I don't see that in the future.
So, whenever we're talking about the college football, and I've gotten baptized in it with College Game Day, they've just dropped me right into college football.
Yeah.
Bad decision. A lot of the old whites hated me. In the South, these people hated me. Why is this doofus in our game? But I've got to learn a lot about it. A lot about it.
Yeah.
And it's like all the problems that are currently happening in this transition era with no guardrails on the NIL. There's no free agency period. There's no actual contract structure. So some of these players are signing deals that are giving up like 25% of future earnings. Like, it's kind of all over the place. There's so many issues with it, though. Like, there's only a couple people that could probably fix. You're one of them. Yeah. So if you got time, why don't you do that? Why don't you go take care of college football?
Am I part-time, John?
Yeah, exactly. Why don't you go do that? That'd be great. But it has served as a minor league to the NFL for a very long time. So obviously you have the importance with each other, but like there's so many questions down there. Do they ask you about any of this stuff?
Yeah, and we talk a lot about, I mean, COVID's a great example. Everything we were doing COVID, we shared with college football. So I was talking to conference commissioners and telling them what we would do. We shared our medical protocols. We found a way to get through that and try to help, you know, the game of football overall. And we did that with other leagues too, to be honest with you. We all sort of shared information. But I think that's true in this case. The problem with it is who's in control? Is it the NCAA or is it the conferences? And how they're moving around. So for us, I don't know enough about it right now, but if anybody asks us for help, we're going to try to do our best.
They need you. So I hope that happens ASAP. And as we roll into round 2 of the 2024 NFL Draft, let's look back on what happened in round 1. Make-A-Wish kid.
Oh, that was good.
Yes. Justin Lavergne. Did I pronounce that right? Lavergne? I think it's right.
Just Laverne.
He does, obviously, he calls Xavier Worthy getting drafted to the Chiefs with a trade with the Buffalo Bills, and it's a magical night. You do a lot of this. I don't think I remembered how many different high school athletes were out here.
Oh, yeah.
I think there was firefighters out here. You got a Make-A-Wish kid out here. Yeah. You're doing a lot of good for the community. But immediately after that, I guess you FaceTimed Andy Reid as well, and there was a
I didn't. Oh.
Yeah,
I didn't see that.
Yeah, you set him up. Let's go, Raj.
Yeah, well,
look at the commissioner's a human. I didn't know that was the case. That's a sweet thing. That's a sweet night.
Well, Coach is a great guy, and you know that was a moment that he's just a great kid, and it's a great story of his father and son and all the things they've been through. So Make-A-Wish is a great program for us. But that was a chance I knew Andy would grasp it, and he responded right away. So
that's beautiful. Hey, whenever you say the Atlanta Falcons take Michael Penix Jr., while it's coming out of your mouth, you're like, well, the world's about to explode right now. Is that, yeah, you understand that?
No, it was funny. When I got the card, I looked down at it and I go, wow, this will get a reaction.
Yeah. That's right. Speaking of a reaction, you got picked up last night. Recent back surgery. You okay?
I did, yeah. No, it wasn't too bad.
We handling big bumps still? We practice? We run into walls before this? How do we?
I actually had a guy from NFL Films who's about 6'4", about 260. I said, just pick me up once and just let me see how it goes. And that just let me down easy.